Never ever do this. The 5 things you should never do for a man. Now, I just want to say over the years, I've observed that women tend to relinquish their power to a man in relationship. And I want to be candid with you. I saw this title on a contemporary site, and I thought I'd give you my take on what women should never do. And I know we don't like the word should, but hear me out for a second. Let me know what you think. So, why do women give their power away to men? I think that's a really good question. And I have a theory that I want to dive into before I share you these 5 things. I think throughout history, women have been dependent upon men for survival purposes. And in many cases, throughout history, men have been doing the asking of marriage in relationship. And when you think about marriage, when you think about the vows, beyond those sickness and health, rich or poor, that sort of thing, there is an essence of I will take care of you, meaning the man's responsibility to take care of a woman. That certainly has shifted in the last 50 years. And thankfully, women aren't necessarily dependent upon men. In fact, and I want to say that thankfully, I'm grateful that many of you are not in that position. Sadly, many of you still are. And when you're in a position of dependency, it can be rather challenging to be in a relationship. But when you are a sovereign being, and I believe Jane Fonda recently talked about that in a video, not recently, it could have been an older video. I even think Carol Burnett made the same comment as well. When you're a sovereign being and you're not dependent upon someone else, that allows you to make life choices. And yet, sadly, women have been conditioned, particularly in the narrative that men choose when to have commitments. Like I said earlier, they're always waiting for the man asking. By the way, is there a question for you all? Is there anything wrong with a woman asking for the hand in marriage? To make it a little bit traditional. I think if anything else, by having the conversation, you can really get a barometer of where someone might land with that conversation. So I think women might want to shift that narrative. Again, I'm just making it as a theory, not as an absolute practice. But when throughout history, women have been conditioned that men are the leaders of the relationship, I think it causes the following things I'm about to share. And by the way, before we go any further, ladies, let me just say this. Men are not leaders of the relationship. You are in charge of your relationship destiny. And particularly for you ladies that are in midlife, and I always say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement, we have a significant population of both men and women that are rather clueless at the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. This is anecdotal, but roughly 75% of singles over 45, over 50 years old are divorced, the ones that are in the dating marketplace. Sure, there are the never married and the widowers in there, but roughly those people that are single are most likely divorced, meaning that they weren't necessarily good at being in a relationship prior. And just because, and here's the fallacy, here's the fantasy most everybody has arrived at. It's the problem was the other person. You see, sadly, very few people actually look in the mirror to say, how could I have contributed to the decline of my relationship? We're in a population of people that say, it's her fault, it's his fault, it's his fault, it's her fault, always pointing the finger. And when you point a finger, there are 3 little fingers pointing back to you. So, coming back to my theory, I think women have been conditioned to expect that. And ladies, I'm here to encourage you. And if you're men watching this, ladies, you should be in charge of your relationship destiny. Don't give that up to a man. So where do I observe women make this mistake with men that I think they should never do? Let's dive into these 5 things. The first one, can someone write this down? You shrink yourself to keep his ego safe. You shrink yourself to keep his ego safe. Like pretending you don't make that much money, like brushing off a promotion. Avoid speaking up on something because you're afraid he'll see that you're too much. If your shine makes him dim, he's not your guy. Let me repeat that. Like pretending you don't make as much money as you do. Listen, ladies, if a man is intimidated by your success, and by the way, he's not intimidated by your success all the time. Oftentimes, He's concerned you won't accept him for who he is. I just want you to know that. A lot of you strong, smart, successful women think that men are intimidated, but in many cases, now the issue could be you're controlling. You hyper focus on your work. You don't focus much on the relationship. That's not attractive behavior to men. But certainly there are plenty of men that their ego is wrapped up in their masculinity, and they're not necessarily partnership material in relationship, because if you have to dim yourself, he's not your guy. Have you ever experienced that? Please write a comment, let me know, post it in the chat box. You have felt that the man you're with can't accept your shine. By the way, folks, a relationship should be one where your guy gets excited about what you do. I was watching an Instagram reel the other day, and it was a younger man. He was watching his girlfriend in a track and field race, and he was cheering and jumping up and down to demonstrate how much care he has for his partner. And she won the gold, I believe, because her success is his success too. His success is your success. In a healthy relationship, you should both want to be teammates with one another. You should both want to make each other shine. You should never shrink yourself to keep his ego safe. And if you've ever done that, post a comment and say, sadly, I did this, but I won't do this anymore. Can you write that down? I won't do this anymore. Okay. Number 2, pretend his bad behavior doesn't bother you. Laughing off a joke that eventually stings, ignoring how he leaves you waiting, or letting it slide when he interrupts you in conversation. Every time you swallow your truth, you chip away at your own dignity. I'm going to repeat that. Every time you swallow your truth, you chip away at your own dignity. Now, sometimes we might have to decide what battles to choose, but certainly when it comes to bad behavior, I don't think you should dim your light in this particular case or pretend his bad behavior doesn't affect you. I am going to share something publicly that I'm slightly embarrassed about, my bad behavior, and how my sweetheart called me out on it. Recently, or let me just share one time, we were traveling back from an event, and we were stuck in major traffic. And I was really annoyed because I could have taken the toll road and beat like 30 minutes worth of traffic. And I mean, and it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was at midnight. I mean, what the heck is traffic at midnight? And what was aggravating me, I was in the far left lane, and then there was this lane, people were kind of scooting up along the side of it. And I just started to jockey in position. I was getting a little bit of road rage. I'm going to own it. Look, I'm not a perfect being. A lot of men aren't perfect being, but I got into a little bit of road rage. And guess what? She called me out on it. Now, I could have gotten defensive. I could have made up excuses, but I realized I was being a dick. And in a way, I was grateful that she called out my bad behavior. But I want you to think about, have you ever had duct tape over your mouth when he was doing something inconsiderate? Like maybe it was road rage, and please don't beat me up for that one. I do occasionally get anxious at times. Not always, but sometimes it does happen. But I'm grateful she called me out. But have you ever found yourself where you kept silent when it came to your truth, particularly bad behavior, or maybe he interrupts you? Now, I'm guilty for interrupting, but you know what? I'm going to say my girlfriend is guilty of it as well. Sometimes we humans have a habit of we want to say something and we don't want to forget it, so we interrupt. But I'm saying in a curt way, in an inconsiderate way, in a demeaning way. See, if you ever have to dim your life, if you have to pretend his bad behavior doesn't bother you, you have to ask yourself, is this person my teammate? Is this person my friend? Is this a person that I can actually hold hands with through the thick and thin part of relationship? And if you have to pretend that bad behavior or something that stings doesn't affect you, then you're not being honest, not only with yourself, but you're not being honest with him. Ladies, I just want to say something. A relationship is like sailing a boat, okay? Now I live in Los Angeles. So imagine I just got into the Pacific Ocean and I said, I'm in a partnership-based relationship and we're sailing to Hawaii. See, every time something chips away, you're losing your direction. You're going 1 degree in the wrong direction. And do you realize a 1 degree shift from going to Hawaii from Los Angeles could end me up or us up in Australia? Or worse, it could end up in like maybe the Antarctic for all I know. My point is a relationship is constantly steering the rudder to keep it on track to where you're going. And if you're silencing your voice little by little, if you're sweeping it under the rug, you're diminishing the value of the relationship by being silent. And sadly, many of you ladies do this. So please don't pretend his bad behavior doesn't bother you. Number 3. You have to compete for his attention. You have to compete for his attention. By the way, it's 11:11 on the video right now for as long as it's been running. You have to compete for his attention. Maybe you're stalking his social media page to see who he's liking, trying to outperform another woman in his life, or tolerating crumbs of effort just to keep him engaged. If you're vying for the spotlight in his world, you've already lost your own stage. Let me repeat that. If you're vying for the spotlight in his world, you've already lost your own stage. Ladies, you should never have to compete for his attention. You should never have to send a text message flare to say, I'm thinking of you. Now, it's not to say in a healthy conversational relationship, you might say things like, I'm thinking of you. You might want to create engagement and flirtation. But if you haven't heard from him in days, you shouldn't have to throw up a flare to say, I exist, particularly if you're having a physically intimate relationship with someone. Ladies, let me be clear about something. If the penis is going inside the vagina on a regular basis, you have every right to speak up, and you should never have to compete for his attention. And please don't stalk his Facebook page to see who he's liking, to see who's liking him. That can create so much anxiety. If you ever find yourself doing that, you've got to ask yourself, do I feel safe in this relationship to begin with? Because if you're not feeling safe, and maybe you have trust issues, maybe you have some stuff going on from your past that caused you to operate this way, that's the time to look in the mirror and say, I've got to work on my own stuff. But if you're triggered by his actions on social media, I'll be candid with you. I was in a relationship with a woman who had trust issues, and I'm like, I'm the worst person to date because I'm on social media regularly communicating with women oftentimes. But certainly you shouldn't have to be in that position. A healthy relationship is a relationship where two people are engaging with each other on a regular basis to connect on a regular basis, and you should never have to compete for his attention. Number 4, you ignore your intuition. You ignore your intuition. Someone write that down. That uneasy feeling when he avoids talking about his ex, when he dodges commitment questions, or when you sense he's not investing as much as you are. Your gut is your compass. The more you override your gut, the more lost you become. Let me repeat that. The more you override your gut, the more lost you become. And the area where I see women do this habitually happens to be in the area of, where is this relationship going? The commitment conversation. Folks, I'm going to say something. If you're in your 50s and 60s, like much of my audience, and you both agreed you want to explore a serious relationship, and that conversation should happen within the first 90 days. If in the first 90 days, particularly within 90 days and when you're physically intimate, okay, you should both, first off, you should start with, what is your relationship future? Like, how do you see your relationship future? Is marriage something that you want? Is living together something you want? Is life partnership something you want? Because here's the thing. If you don't have that destination in mind, remember that story I told you about getting on the boat? If you have no place to go, you're just like, oh, I just want to be in the Pacific Ocean and I just want to go here and I want to go there with no destination. It's kind of challenging to build a life with someone, but more importantly, we become emotionally invested in someone. I think it's important to lay out those desires. Now, ladies, you have a propensity to say, I want a relationship. And he goes, I want a relationship too. So both you go, oh, we're on the same page. We want a relationship. Well, in his mind, a relationship might be seeing each other every other week for sex. That might be his definition of relationship. Your definition of relationship might sound like my definition of relationship, where you're spending 2, 3, 4 days, nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and your professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy that leads to either moving in together or getting married, even at least a spiritual marriage. Folks, your intuition tells you very quickly if this guy is legitimate or not, except you override your intuition. You ignore your intuition habitually, ladies. You figure the more I invest, the more he'll love me. God, let me just say this about men. Men know within 90 days of physical intimacy whether or not they see you as life partnership material. Particularly those men that want life partnership. The guys who don't know what they want, they can waste time in your life for years. Are you familiar with my chart called the 3 types of people actively dating? By the way, this is not a fact. It's merely an opinion. There are the users, the love bombers, the players, the gold diggers, the entitled people. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. There's 20, and that's 20%. 20% are grower builders. They seek life partnership based relationships. They have their act together. They operate like teammates. 60% of the population are spenders. And the reason why they're called spenders, because they'll spend time with you. You'll be a placeholder in their life. But they seek connection, companionship, and sex. But they have no direction. They're uncertain. They're fearful. Usually have a dysfunctional life. So be mindful. Ask those tough questions about commitment to keep your relationship on track. And let me just share with you what I do in my relationship. We revisit the following. How did we get here? Where are we? And where do we want to go? And how do we want to be where we go? How did we get here as a reflection of all the experiences that got us to where we're at? Where are we is looking at our life, like what do we want to do in this, in the moment, if you will. A lot of guys say, let's just live in the moment. Yeah, that's important, but where do we want to go? Folks, ask these questions. You got to steer the boat if you want to get to Hawaii. Because having duct tape over your mouth, by the way, I know I look like I'm agitated, but it's because I don't want you to get hurt. I'm your big brother. If I could have a shotgun pointed at a guy's face and say, what are your intentions with my little sister? I'd be saying that for you on your behalf. And number 5, settle for potential. Telling yourself he'll change once he gets that better job. He'll commit when he's ready. He'll just needs healing, and then he'll be the man I want him to be. Potential is hope, not promise. And you deserve love, not the theoretical type, the real type. You ladies, you have this, what is that? That third eye. You see the potential, you see the vision. You focus on that instead of his actions in the moment. His actions, do they match his words consistently? Is he generous and kind? Do they communicate clearly without wanting to be right? They don't use people. These are men of character. They don't use people. They're clear about commitment. They have their act together. And they're emotionally and physically healthy and have self-control, and they don't chase sex, drugs, and alcohol. And if you're looking at the potential and yet he's not a man of character, then ask yourself, is this a man you'd be proud to be with? from a long-term vantage point. These are 5 things you should never do for a man. Never, ever, ever do this. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Follow me on social media. Get my dating vows. You're going to need this. It's in the description below. Please register for my dating vows. It'll make a difference in your life. All right. And don't forget to check out the description below for everything. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box in the corner. Write the word question, then post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay. That's a picture of him right there. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process Insight Institute and scholarships to coaching as well. And our goal tonight is $50. And guess what? Debbie got us started with a $20 super sticker. Maybe we should bump that goal to $100. All right, actually, listen, if 3 people just donated $10, we'll get to that goal real quickly. Debbie, thank you for the love. We really appreciate it. And you're already saying it's sinking in. Debbie also wants to point out, I think you found your soulmate. You know, folks, many of you know I'm in a relationship with somebody. And Sunflower says, do you have a partner now? Yes, I do. And I'll be candid with you. While it's almost 3 months old, I can honestly say this feels so different than my last relationship. Many of you saw my last relationship. Beautiful, kind, loving being. I think she's a wonderful person. But in retrospect now, when I look at our relationship, we weren't aligned with each other. I mean, we were closely aligned in some areas, which is great, but misaligned in some radically different areas. And so we decided to merge lives together. That's what people do. And we gave it a shot. Now, sadly, and I don't mean sadly, let me retract that. You know, she had recognized that we were a mismatch. For me, it was hard to take because I was deeply entrenched in this relationship. I was deeply entrenched. Took me a good solid 2 years to heal from the ending of that relationship. I was insecurely attached to this person. That's my shit, not hers. But as I reflect now, I can see how I wore rose-colored glasses. Hold on one second. Let me just point this out. I've got a picture frame box. You can see it right here. These are rose-colored glasses. I was wearing rose-colored glasses in this relationship. And that's not that there's anything wrong, but now through the lens of contrast, through the lens of comparison, I can see how different it feels to actually be with someone who's effusive, who's demonstrative, who continually, says, I love you without me predicating it, initiating it first. It's so awesome to get a text message in the morning. In fact, she went to bed last night late and we were apart, and I woke up to a beautiful text message of kindness, care. By the way, I have a habit of text messaging her most mornings because I get up at 5 in the morning and she gets up close to the 7:30 or 8. And so I always send little love notes. It's just kind of my signature. I'm sitting on my balcony, having coffee, wanting to express how I feel. See, when a guy genuinely is in love, and folks, I can say this maybe for the first time ever in my life, I'm feeling loved. And not from someone I'm not interested in. This is someone I'm interested in. I've had several women who have been in love with me, but I haven't been into them. Crouching Tiger says, vitamin G, gratitude. Oh my God, I'm in immense gratitude for this person. I am in such immense gratitude. I was actually, I think, well, let me just share with you. what I wrote this morning, just to give you some reflection upon that. I said, such a lovely message to wake up to receive your love with gratitude. And I think I went on to say, I'm in such gratitude being in relationship with you, and it's because I see you from a healthy place of secure love. It's both exciting and foreign to me. You see, my entire life relationships came from a codependency, and I don't feel dependent upon you, nor do I want you to rescue me. I just want to experience this love between us and see where it takes us. And just know I want it to take us to the very end of the road. What I'm really trying to say is I freaking love you. These are the kind of messages I send. Now, I happen to be hyper aware. Someone wrote here, exhausting and extra are different. I happen to be extra. I happen to be a guy who thinks about this shit. And I don't mind expressing it. And she loves it. She appreciates it. She said, you know what? I love your extra. Extra means I'm actually engaged in the relationship compared to most people. Most people are passively in a romantic relationship, and I'm fully engaged. The reason why it feels extra is because we're so used to lackluster performance between people, and I actually engage. So anyway, I'm to come back to what was the post that said, yes, I'm in a relationship. And Sunflower says, do you have a partner now? Yes, I do. By the way, if you have a question for me about my relationship, write the words personal question and post the question. Or if you want to jump on the screen live right now, I just posted a link to the Love Seat. You can join me live. We can have a conversation. We could do a coaching session together. It is recorded, just so you know, and it's live and might be used for a future recording. But I'd love, if you want to talk about the 5 things you should never, ever do, if you want to talk about anything, if you want to ask me about my personal life and my relationship. Sunflower says, I live in a small town and there's hardly any opportunity to meet anyone. Well, maybe your small town should start a singles event. Everybody should register as to who's single and have a singles party. Maybe that's something you can organize, Sunflower. Maybe you can organize a singles event. If you live in a small town and you know everybody, knock on every door and say, let's get us singles together. Group them up by age. Put the 20 and 30-year-olds in one room. Put the 40-year-olds in another room. Put the 50 and 60-year-olds in another room. There is something you can do. Listen, Sunflower, is that something you can arrange? But Jonathan, I don't think I should have to do that. If you want to change your love life, you are in charge of your relationship destiny. Don't tell me what's wrong. Tell me what's possible, what's right. What does the crown icon mean with number 3? I don't know what that means. CEGE says, so happy for you. Been watching you for nearly 4 years. This feels real and delightful to hear. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Folks, I'll just show you a picture of her and I that we were out. Where is it? I thought I had a picture of us when we were out. This was us at the Hollywood Bowl a few weeks ago. Oh, I'll take that out of the screen. That's her and I at the Hollywood Bowl, so you can get a sense of who she is. Okay. So where did we meet? Okay, here's a cute story. I talked about this in a previous podcast. So the irony was we first met on Bumble. Okay, so of the dating apps, we were on Bumble. And she had written me an interesting message, and I wrote her back, and she wrote me back. We got into a conversation about masculine and feminine polarity. And somehow it just faded. I don't remember what happened. I didn't respond to her. She didn't respond to me. It just kind of faded. Okay. So then a few months later, I saw her on Match.com and I saw her profile and I remembered her and I wrote her a message. And I said, hey, remember me? And she goes, yeah, I remember you. And I don't know what happened. I think I must have been talking to someone else. She must have been talking to herself. We had 1 or 2 exchanges and it didn't go anywhere. Fast forward 6 months later, she sees me on Hinge and she wrote me, "Hey, you've got an interesting profile. We have some things in common. I see that you read the book, If the Buddha Dated." By the way, all the books I recommend, If the Buddha Dated, highly recommend the reading of the book. All the books I recommend are listed below. And don't forget to get my book. Please tell your friends about What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Tell your friends, okay? So we connected on Hinge, and I said, look, do you mind? Can we not? Let's meet. We met for breakfast at a hotel overlooking the Marina del Rey, and I said, can we not make this a date? Can we just be two people that are just human beings meeting? Can we treat it like friendship? And that's what we did. So we went from Bumble to Match to Hinge. And we met kind of as a friendship date. But to be honest, there was no spark. Now, I realize now the reason why there was no spark, because my unhealthy attachment wasn't triggered. And since I'm so familiar with the unhealthy attachment, the insecure way I attach, that I wasn't attracted to her at first. But we end up talking every day for the next 10 days. And during those conversations, I'm like, I really, really like this person. I found myself becoming more and more attracted. And she said she was feeling the same way. And then ultimately we met up 10 days later, had a kiss, and the rest is history. So that's to answer your question. That is how we met. First on Bumble, then on Match, then on Hinge. Maybe that's the way we have to do it. We have to meet on 3 separate sites before we meet our ideal partner. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Okay. Sunflower, I just shared with everybody. I met her first on Bumble, then on Match, then on Hinge. Okay. Jen, History Fuzz, Adam, or admin. I don't know why I was thinking Buzz Aldrin. I actually bought 8 books off of your list. Yes, I have a list of books. Check out Jonathan Recommend Books in the show notes below. Power of Chi is in the house. You have a new girlfriend? How long has it been? We are almost at the 3-month mark. We spend on average 3 to 4 days and nights a week together doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests. We spend time with family and friends. We do have a trip planned in about 2 months. We're going to go to the Caribbean together. Put the money down, so kind of committed to it. Sunflower asks, she's very pretty. What is her age? Well, she happens to be 6 months younger than me. I'm not going to share her age publicly, but she is 6 months younger than me. So, okay, let's see what else. Oh, Power Chi says congrats. All right. Hey, does anyone want to join the hot seat? We can talk about the 5 things you should never do. We can talk about my relationship. We can talk about anything you want. Debbie says romantic trip. It's interesting. We're actually going to meet a group of her friends that she's known for 30 years. And I'm really excited about that. And you know what? By the way, you guys all know that I have issues with foreign travel. I have issues with planning it and everything. So we made an agreement. I said, look, can you handle all the logistics? We're paying our own way. And I said, can you handle the logistics? And then sure enough, and I said, well, listen, I'll pay for the upgrade so we could take business class. And so she was making changes, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me, just take care of it, because this is how I get sometimes. So in any case, yes, we have a romantic trip planned. We've got an Airbnb. It's really cool. I'm excited to go. We'll see how it goes. I think traveling together speaks volumes. to the success or failure in a relationship. I think it can. She knows I have anxiety about it up front. So she's going to probably witness it. And I've got to bite my tongue a lot. And folks, listen, I know it's not very masculine to show I have fears and insecurities. This is something, a core wound I've been dealing with since childhood. And I'm aware of it. I'm working on it. I actually see a therapist to talk about some of my issues. I do plant medicine to work on some of my issues. So I'm aware of it. I'm kind of over exaggerating it publicly, but it's just to illustrate a point. I'm human. You're human. We're all human. We're trying to do the best we can. Okay. Bauerchi asked, is she watching this live? I don't think she is. She's heading out tomorrow to go to a wedding in Washington, near Washington, D.C. She's actually getting a chance to visit the Smithsonian Institute. She's going to the Art Institute, and I think she's even getting a tour of the White House. I'm kind of jealous. I'd like to, forgetting who's in office, let's not get into a political thing, but I think it would be very cool to take a tour of the White House. Just it's a historic place, and there's so many cool things to see there. So anyway, so we're going to be apart for a whole 8 days. That's the longest we've gone apart. It'll be interesting to see how we navigate that. I think we're going to navigate it just fine. But this is part of the learning curve of being in relationship. Oh, wait. CH points out, if you ended up in a boat on the shores of Australia, we'd welcome you. Oh, thank you so much. This refers to the story I was saying. If you're trying to get to Hawaii and you're 1 degree off, you'd end up in a whole nother country. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. If you have a question, write the word question or post the question thereafter, or please purchase a super sticker, super chat. All of the monies to the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay. That's him right there with his brother, Colin. Actually, Colin started his doctoral program today. He's on a 5-year journey to become a clinical psychologist. Maybe he can take over my business in 5 years when he becomes a doctor. So I'd appreciate a donation to the Connor Aslay Scholarship Fund. Even if 10 of you just donated $3, we'd get to our goal of $50 tonight, because Debbie was kind enough to give us a nice $20 donation. All right, let's see if we have any questions. Come on. I need some conversation. Oh, Sunflower asked, what does your partner do? Does she have children? Well, I'll start with the children first. She has 2 children. Her oldest daughter is 7 days younger than my oldest son. And her second child is, I believe, 2 years younger. I think he just turned 27. So he's 2 years younger. I think it's 2 years. Yes. So she has 2 children. What does she do for a living? Well, she's actually retired. And her passion is art. Let me just show you something that is one of her art. Well, here's a piece. This is my birthday present. She painted that for me. The title is called Feeling Seen. Feeling Seen. Yes. And then this is my favorite portrait of hers. This is called The Muse. The Muse. And I think this is a beautiful piece of art. And it comes with a poem that she wrote. It is fantastic. I should ask her to send me a copy and I'll read it to everybody. So that's so she's an artist. Power Chi wrote down beautiful art. And yes, Debbie says, I like that. Debbie, did you like the Muse or the one she did for me called Feeling Seen? She often says, Jonathan, you see me. God, to feel seen. Have you ever felt seen in your relationship? I'm grateful that she feels that way. Oh, Debbie is referring to the Muse. Okay. By the way, Crouching Tiger Hidden Rock just gave us a $20 super sticker. The credit where credit is due. Thank you. I have landed the best relationship of my life. Thank you for your insight, your vulnerability, and your authenticity. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Crouching Tiger Hidden Rock. That is so amazing. And I hope I had something to do for to help you get there. Who else would like help in their relationship or to attract the kind of relationship they seek? Hey, listen, schedule a discovery call with me. I'm going to tell you something. I make a difference in people's lives. I have a client who's flying up next month with her and her boyfriend. We're going to be doing a double date together. She said, I talked to her this morning. She said, I'm really now just her life coach in our relationship more than anything, helping her navigate some of her own stuff. But you know what? If I can make a difference in her life, power of crouching tiger, maybe I can make a difference in your life as well. Sunflower just popped in. Showing vulnerability is the core of relationships. If you don't show vulnerability, there is no relationship. Exactly, Sunflower. Intimacy. Intimacy. We can't see someone until we're vulnerable with someone. We're authentic with someone. And most importantly, we're transparent about who we are. Because sadly, most human beings are wearing a mask. They're hiding their true selves. And sometimes, ladies, I mean, I know it's tough to crack that armor that men wear, but I'm here to say it can be done. You just have to learn how to nudge them in the right way. If you need some help with that, check out the link below. Power of Chi says, are you two in a long distance relationship? How far do you live from her? Well, I think as a crow flies, we are probably 17 miles from each other. If I leave in the evening on Sunday, I can get home in about 30 minutes. But usual LA traffic, if I catch her during rush hour, it's a solid hour. If I catch her in the late afternoon, it's about 42 to 45 minutes. So I don't consider that long distance, okay? Crouching Tiger just popped in. Absolutely did intentionally is everything. This is what I've been saying for years, folks. Intentionality. It's time to be intentional. It's not time. I mean, it's been something people should be. By the way, do you know in arranged marriages, they're so radically intentional. They do interrogations of each other. Mostly the family members do that. So, Jonathan, I'm so filled with trauma all the time. I don't think anyone would be interested in me. And I don't want to pretend I'm okay. Sunflower, I understand how that feels. I know what deep trauma feels like. I went to bed for 5 years wishing I didn't wake up, not to suggest you're in that space. And maybe a relationship isn't what's needed for you right now. Maybe self-love is what's needed. Maybe it's building your community of family and friends around you. It's okay that you're not in a relationship, but you are in a relationship with yourself. And that's a relationship you can foster and grow, because when you show up for yourself, you actually become prepared to be in a romantic relationship with another. And if you need some support with that, whether it's me, whether it's a pastor, whether it's a friend, whomever, I invite you to get that support to work on those wounds so you can love yourself to such a space where you're actually becoming a magnetic attractor for what you want. God, universe, spirit, I invite in love for Sunflower right now and for everyone watching. Because if we shower love to everybody right now, I want everyone to shower Sunflower some love right now. And when everybody does it to everybody else and does it to everybody else and we pay it forward, we can surround this planet with beautiful love. And I know that sounds corny, but I'm a believer. By the way, if you can't tell, I'm ridiculously happy right now. And I'm going to do my best to spread joy and love to everybody, because I'm going to tell you something. Love is a risk, but it's still the best game in town. All right, Sunflower. Hope that helps. Carrie Legg says, why do women get so jealous of other people's boyfriends and husbands? Because it represents what they want and what they don't have. You know, what's it mean to covet? You want thy neighbors, this goes back as old as time. Jealousy. Does it really matter why they do it? What matters most is, are you going to allow it in your life? I wouldn't accept somebody. I wouldn't accept a friend. You know, a dear friend of mine, we have a mutual friend that's in relationship with a married man. She's completely being bamboozled by this guy. But you know what? I've lost respect for her because she knows he's married. He's told her a sad, a sob story, but she's, by the way, he acts like it's a marriage of convenience or whatnot, but being with a married man ain't cool. That's what I've told her. My point is we have to stand up for everybody here. And when people are in bad behavior, it's not healthy. I'm going off on a tangent here. But anyways, if someone gets jealous, don't care the why they do it. What matters most is how you're going to respond if this is a friend of yours. Okay. Sunflower says, is she an artist? Yeah, I would say she's an artist. Libby wants to know, what's the age difference? 6 months, almost to the day, 6 months. Carrie says, I have to go out dancing and see it all the time. Women flirting with other people's boyfriends and husbands. It floors me seeing awful behavior. Yeah, it should floor you. But you know what? Disregard it. Who cares what other people are doing with other people? Don't put yourself in them. I mean, I recognize you want to go dancing and that's fun, but don't allow their energy to affect your chi. By the way, I think it's chapter 5 in my book. Chapter 5 in my book, Carrie. Don't let anyone F with your chi. Don't let anyone F with your chi. Don't let anyone affect how you feel about yourself. Have an emotional bubble around you. Look for the joy. Look for the couples that are happy together. Okay. Sunflower says, age difference. She's 6 months younger. Exactly. Ribbon says, my first life, such wisdom, you are watching since 2020. Oh, thank you so much. Isabel says, love is a risk. I took a leap and finally trusted someone 100%. And wow, don't be afraid to take a risk. Not everyone is bad. That is so true. Most men are good guys. They're just bad daters. Most humans are wounded. They're not trying to hurt anyone. I shared earlier about my past relationship. She didn't mean to hurt me. In fact, why should I allow myself to be hurt? If it's not right for one person, it's not right for two people. She actually did me the biggest favor. Instead of looking at it as being heartbroken, she released me from my commitment to find what I believe now is really the love of my life. I am so ridiculously happy, folks, in a way I can't even describe, to be with someone who's effusive, demonstrative, affectionate. She is so effing cute. We were at the Hollywood Bowl, and I love how she we're watching, and she's actually technically sitting behind me, and she was grabbing me the whole time. I love physical touch. I was so grateful in that moment. So it's cool to experience it. That's all I'm saying. Dating a married man is a huge red flag. Exactly. Carrie wants to go on to say, Jonathan, I need to hear that. Letting it affect me big time. I lost 225. Well, it looks like 2,215 pounds, but I think you meant 225 pounds to get bullied. Is fearful of me. Oh my God, Carrie, bravo to you. Everybody, let's give Carrie some props. What an amazing accomplishment. I can't even begin to imagine that journey you went through. Must have been painful on so many different levels. But wow, what an accomplishment. And I suspect you're very proud of yourself. And so everybody, let's give Carrie a prop. Way to go. Just to clarify, it is 225 pounds. Power of Chi says, congratulations, Carrie. Debbie is in the house and says, Carrie, yay. Isabel says, so happy for you. Or maybe that was related to my comment before. Power of Chi says, don't let anyone F with your chi. You get that slap, LOL. Oh, Carrie goes on to say, I've been maintaining it now for 16 years. Way to go. Wow. I was just watching something about The Biggest Loser, and he was the guy who had the fastest and most miraculous weight loss, only to gain it back and then some. Wow. Crouching Tiger wants to give us claps to Carrie. Congratulations. That is so awesome. And Carrie comes out to say, wow, thank you. All right, folks, anyone want to join the love seat for the last 10 minutes or last few minutes of this broadcast? Did you find value in what I've shared so far? Am I making a difference in your life? Please let me know. And if you have any questions, please write the word question and post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase that super sticker, super chat. Carrie, purchase a $10 super sticker. We can get to our goal today. There's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund. Carrie goes on to say, I was 367 pounds. Now I'm 140. Wow. That is so fucking awesome. So I have a question. Was there a lot of leftover skin? Please forgive me. I'm just kind of curious. Did your body shrink back? Did it? Since you did it 16 years ago, I suspect that it probably did. That's an amazing accomplishment. So thank you so much for sharing that. Isabel wants to say, you have no idea how much you helped me. Oh, I love to hear that. Thank you so much. Cookie Monster says, hey, Jonathan, how are you? I am ridiculously happy. Kath is in the house. Yes, I agree. Most guys are good, looking for company. Sorry, this lady, not for me. Call me a dreamer. I believe in true love. Okay. Thank you, Kath. I appreciate that. Cookie wants to know, do you think you should wait until we get in shape to date or date regardless? You know, I've got 15 pounds I'd like to lose. I mean, there's a part of me that wanted to wait, but, you know, I would have missed out on the best relationship of my life if I did that. I think the right relationship appreciates where you're at. Now, if you have a major goal, like something like Carrie did, maybe you might want to be focused on that, you know, more so than relationship. Oh, so Carrie goes, so I would say if you're looking to do something gigantic like Carrie, be focused on your dream and your goal. But if you're talking about 15 pounds like I need to lose, who gives a crap? The right person's going to appreciate you. Carrie goes on to say, yes, hanging skin. I got about 12 to 14 pounds of hanging skin removed. Had a tummy tuck done too by a fantastic surgeon. Wow, 12 to 14 pounds of hanging skin. Oh my God. Wow. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. We appreciate you. All right. If you have a question of me or anyone else, post that question. We still have a few minutes before we wrap up tonight. I'm so excited for this conversation. I really appreciate all the love. I can't begin to tell you how kind, caring, and loving. Carrie just gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Cookie goes on to say, men are visual, but are they men that don't mind if a woman is not in shape? Carrie, what is your age bracket, just so I know? Because as we men age, you know, look at my sweetheart has got wrinkles, okay? I mean, you know, and look at, I've got wrinkles, folks. I mean, I wish I could do that. But you know, the right guy is going to appreciate. By the way, I have a client. She's 5'3", weighs 220 pounds. She is happily in love with a guy who's 6'3" and must weigh 300. So anyway, just want to give Carrie those props for the $10 super sticker. Cookie Monster is back in the house. What matters most, face, body, or personality? Well, I think the whole person matters in my book. The entire person matters, their heart. You know, I think it all matters. I mean, what do you think is going to make the biggest difference? Each person is different. Some people like big butts and they cannot lie. And the other brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with the itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Is that Sir Mix-a-Lot? My ex-wife wanted to make sure we had that at our wedding. I like big butts and I cannot lie. And the other brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Kath says, I'm sure her beauty shines inside out. Amazing discipline, losing so much weight. Happy, well done. Exactly, Carrie. Or Kath, I totally agree. I think you guys are laughing at my singing. Salty Mega. By the way, Salty is Connor's nickname. Oh my God, love that. So I appreciate that. Carrie wants to give everyone a big appreciation. Thank you so much. It's definitely a lot of hard work and worth every bit of the pain. Yes. Cookie's laughing at my singing. Exactly. Thank you so much. All right. We got a few more minutes. What questions do you have of me? All right. Let's see what we got here. Come on. I need some love. Give me some love. Give me some love. Love, 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 love. We love love. All we need is love. Bum, ba-dum. All we need is love. By the way, it's 555 on right now at the anyway. Is cheating ever forgivable? Actually, I have a dear friend who wrote a book. This is my ex-girlfriend, by the way, Dr. Sherry Myers. My ex-girlfriend, she wrote a book called Chatting or Cheating. How to detect infidelity, rebuild love, and affair-proof your relationship. She says it's absolutely possible. By the way, my girlfriend knew Sherry before they were friends. And we've actually spent time with her partner, Sherry's partner, David. We've double dated. So yeah, absolutely is it possible. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but you can absolutely forgive and build a stronger relationship from it. I think a lot of times people are, I mean, habitual cheaters are one thing, but I think sometimes there's situational circumstances and that can cause a person, I think that can be forgiven if there's a lot of love poured into the relationship. Cookie comes back. Do you believe in midlife crisis a real thing? I do believe when the blueprint of our life that we thought it was going to be collides with our reality. I call that midlife crisis, but it's when your blueprint of the way you thought your life was going to be collides with your reality. And then the big question comes up, who am I? Why am I here? What's it all for? Jen says, I just want to say I'm finally at the point where I can be vulnerable. That's a massive milestone for me, but thank you, Jonathan. No, but I'm happy for you, Jen. History Fuzz admin. Way to go. Okay, this will be, is there a 20 age gap? Can a 20-year age gap work in a relationship? I know couples that are 17 years difference. I actually know a couple that's look at Dennis Quaid is with his partner who's 40 years younger. I have a friend who's with somebody 30 years younger. Absolutely, it can work. Does it usually work? I mean, there has to be a lot of love for it to work. So yeah, I think it can work. Kate is in the house. Jonathan, my on-again, off-again partner of 8 years passed away a year and a half ago, and I haven't felt the full desire to date. When is it okay to start dating, do you think? You know, you're always going to carry residue. You're going to carry love for this other person. I think if the fear and pain or fantasy exceed your desire, capacity, and vision, then you're not ready. Your desire, your capacity, and vision has to exceed the fear, the pain, or even the fantasy of what a relationship should look like. So when your desire and capacity exceeds it, then I think you're ready. Natty's is in the house. I haven't been on a while. So great to see you. Happy. Congrats, Jonathan. Thank you so much for the love. Power Chi says, what do you think if someone's asking for passwords to all devices, email, and social media? This is what I think. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I think, you know, if somebody has trust issues, I think you have to build, I think maybe waiting till you live together, that might be the time. But if you're not living together, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you know, here's the thing. My girlfriend has shared with me her whatever. She has an iPhone and you have to punch in a bunch of numbers. She shared it with me because we have nothing to hide. But I also believe that there has to be a lot of trust before you can get there. And if you haven't built the trust, then I think if someone is demanding it, it's because they don't trust you. And that's a bigger issue to deal with. Kate wants to say, great answer. Thank you so much. Folks. You know what? I think this is, hey, we've reached the hour. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you for the donations. I want to thank Carrie and Carrie and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Rook, and is it Rook or Rock? And Debbie for the $20 super stickers. Everyone, thank you so much for the love. I so appreciate you. I hope you find value in this conversation. Please share this video with your friends. Hey, if you got this far, post a comment below. Do my best to read them all. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get the books I recommend, or get my dating vows. It will change your life. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First, I've given myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Merrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm asking you to turn to someone, a pet, teddy bear, a pillow. Give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Debbie wants to say goodnight to everybody, and RM, and everyone who joined us, and all those. And Carrie, congrats on losing 225 pounds. Way to go. Yay. And Debbie, thank you. I appreciate the love. All right, everyone. Wishing you all super duper wonderful evening. Be well. Thanks. Bye now. Bye-bye.